welcome back to Newfoundland and Labrador Studies 2205. This is Unit 2, The Roots of Our Culture, Section 5, Lesson 3, Video 2 on Scottish and French immigrants. Let's talk about Scottish immigration. Scottish immigrants did not settle in Newfoundland and Labrador in significant numbers until the 19th century. Instead of being mostly employed by the fishing industry, many Scottish migrants were artisans or involved in the merchant trade. The vast majority of Scottish immigrants settled in St. John's, Harbour Grace, and the eastern portion of the island. This image here, similarly to the Irish countryside image in the last video, is of a mountain range in Scotland, and to me it looked a lot like Gros Morne. Some Scots migrated to Labrador in the 1800s to work for the Hudson's Bay Company. There was another wave of Scottish immigrants between 1840 and 1860, when Scots that originally immigrated to Cape Breton to become farmers travelled across the Cabot Strait to the southwest coast. And many Scottish immigrants were Presbyterian. This image here is of the Presbyterian Cathedral in St. John's called the Kirk. Now let's talk about French immigration. Of course, the French were among the earliest migratory fishers to the island of Newfoundland. The permanent French settlement, Plaisance, was abandoned after the Treaty of Utrecht was established in 1713. Many of the people who lived in Plaisance moved to Cape Breton. With the French migratory fishery concentrated from Point Reach to Cape Bonavista, and later from Cape Ray to Cape St. Jean, many French people still remained here some of the year. After 1815, some residents named gardiens were employed to look after French fishing premises in winter. After some time, people began deserting their fishing posts or leaving Saint-Pierre-Miquelon, originally ceded by Britain to France in 1763, and settling on the French shore, especially on the Port-au-Port Peninsula, which is considered the most important French enclave in Newfoundland. St. George's Bay was settled by Acadians from Cape Breton. Acadiens, which is the French pronunciation, were descendants from French settlers in the Maritimes and northern Maine. Acadiens began to marry other French settlers and local Mi'kmaq, growing the population in the area. And many French immigrants were Roman Catholic. In 1904, France and Britain agreed that the fishing clauses should be rescinded, known as the Entente Cordiale. Let's talk about later migration. The last half of the 18th century and the first half of the 19th century saw three main waves of emigration to Newfoundland. After 1835, immigration greatly reduced, and most population growth came from natural increase. With permanent European settlement came self-government in 1832, and there emerged a sense of national identity, considering there were settler families with people born in Newfoundland as opposed to Europe. The expansion of European settlement in Newfoundland continued into the 1800s through internal migration, mostly from overcrowded harbors to often less productive sites. Internal migration in the southwest, west, and north coasts of the island and Labrador continued into the 1870s. Population increased through this period, but the economy could not support any more people. By the 1880s, people began to migrate, many of Irish descent, from Newfoundland and Labrador to the United States and Nova Scotia for more opportunities. You may realize that there is a very high Irish population in New England and Massachusetts. So now it's time to review. I'm going to ask you to please complete the activities I have for you in Brightspace, and I hope you have a great day.